Anne Coker is the interim executive director of UK's Centre for Research on Violence Against Women, a professor of epidemiology, and a lead investigator in this study.
Our state, unfortunately, has the highest child abuse rate in the nation. We are, depending on how you measure this, between the second and the fourth highest state in the nation for intimate partner violence. And then we have a major chronic disease that may be associated with it.
Dr. Coker worked on this study with researchers at Meharry Medical College in Nashville. She says it includes about 25,000 participants from a diverse population who shared their experiences with violence between 2002 and 2015, though the length of time the violence occurred wasn't measured.
There may be aspects of what happens when a person experiences violence that may increase the risk of developing diabetes.
Dr. Coker says when someone experiences chronic stress from interpersonal violence or abuse, the body responds by raising cortisol levels and suppressing insulin levels. Diabetes is a disease that either stops the body from making insulin or using it appropriately to regulate blood sugar.
Preventing violence could prevent diabetes.
Dr. Coker encourages people to seek help if they're experiencing violence or abuse, and that bystander interventions are also key. If you see something, say something.
Addressing the issue when there's a suspicion, if you have it in you have a gut reaction to a situation, it's a good time to follow your gut.
Ryan Congito, WKYT.